of the time of honorable speaker and also the delegates. So without spending time, I would like to invite honorable dignitary on behalf of organizing committee, Sri Kumaraswamy College, Ausa, for her keynote speech and presentation. Please, ma'am, welcome.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good evening or good morning, wherever you are. It's afternoon here in Poland, and I realized that it's evening in India right now. I'm Izabela Ryzak. I'm an educator. Most of my education life I've spent in the UK, so my all experiences are British experiences, and only recently I became an international teacher in Warsaw at the British school. The topic which I would like to, and I'm really passionate about, is creating culture of care and how that is affecting student engagement. So when we look at the classroom and we walk in the classroom, how do we judge the engagement of students? How do we know that students are engaged? And how do we therefore judge the good teaching? That was a question which came to my mind recently quite strongly. Because in my opinion, and probably from my observation, mostly when we come to a classroom and students are answering questions, writing in their books, being respectful and quiet and listening to the teacher, we could judge it as an engagement. We would say, oh, good teacher, students are engaged. My question is, and that could be possibly a bit controversial, but are the students really engaged? Or are they conforming to the rules in the classroom? Are they respectful or are they engaged? There is loads of research around this area. How do we know the difference between the engagement and true passion and wanting to know more and wanting to immerse yourself in this learning? That is really, really difficult to measure. It's very difficult to measure, to walk into the classroom and say, oh, those students are truly engaged in the subject. We can say those students are conforming. Those students are respectful. Those students are following teachers' instructions. But going into engagement is something deeper than those aspects which I've just talked about. Engagement is true immersion in the subject. So concentrating on that and thinking of their true passion, how do we put in a true passion in our students? How we ignite the real engagement in the student? How do we ignite the moment in our students that they actually are going a little bit further than conforming in the lesson, closing the book, going home, filling in a worksheet or doing a homework, closing the book? How do we change the script to students wanting to know more, asking questions, talking to others about the topics they've learned about? And that's when we come to teachers. This is the moment created by us, educators. It's very easy to set the rule and say, students in my classroom must listen. Only one person speaks at a time. You must write everything in your books. I will be checking the books. I will be checking the homeworks. That's the baseline of a classroom. But how do we create the deeper art of education? And how do we ignite this in our students? So I came to realization that this is much deeper than just having the knowledge, passing on the knowledge, and asking the students to conform. And I came to a point when I believe that to achieve that point, we need to create a culture of care. Culture of care, business culture, is the way we do things here. That's how we define a business culture. And if we want to have a business culture of care, we all need to care. So how do we create that sense of care within our whole community? Our whole community is created by a triangle. We have got teachers, we've got students, we've got parents. So how do we start thinking about creating a culture? And I'm not sure if you are familiar with Simon Sinek and starting with why and his TED Talk, but starting with why it's setting the vision, setting the values, and based on that, creating structures, creating rules, creating regulations. And if we've got the bad times when all the teachers are really tired and busy and there is all exams going on and loads of marking, and we all feel like we can't do it no more, that's when we go back to these values and we say, our values are to make sure that our students are feeling safe. Our values are to make sure that our students and teachers and the whole community have sense of belonging. Everyone wants to feel seen. Everyone wants to feel heard. And everyone wants to feel understood. So having very clear values, it's really, really important that those values are shared within the whole community and understood by the whole community. When we look at different parts of our triangle community, we've got parents. Our parents want to be understood, heard, and seen. Our students want to be understood, heard, and seen. And so are the teachers. So when we're going to start with that, and we're going to create a sense that at heart, we all want to belong. And when we all going to feel like we belong, we're going to start to care. Because we're going to feel that there is someone who sees us, who understands us, and who wants to listen to our ideas, to our problems, to who we are, and gives us a space to create an innovative lessons, to create an innovative answers with the students, to engage with the community as parents. So that is the foundation of culture of care. The culture of care is founded on the values. So that is at our heart. So when we've got the values and we've started with this, how do we then create a professional learning? Of course, we cannot just say, okay, let's all go and create, be innovative, because that's going to create a whole chaos in the organization. And we, of course, know that we need to have a clear structure of how we're going to create the learning opportunities for our students within a syllabus, within the exams they need to be achieved by our students. So when we look at professional development, all of those topics I could talk about for hours, but I've got only 30 minutes here. So when we look at professional development of teacher, we call this professional development, but I would like to call it professional learning, because I want to empower all the experts, which teachers are, as educators are, to find the learning, to don't limit ourselves and give the power out. Professional development is when someone more clever than us is coming and telling us how to do it. Maybe someone would like to do the research themselves and provide findings to others. And they really feel at heart that this is the area I really want to engage in. That might be how expanding vocabulary is enhancing the results in the exam. We know that better vocabulary probably going to bring better results in the exam. But someone might want to go deeper and think about strategies, think about the students and the context they work in. Obviously, from country to country, from school to school, from syllabus to syllabus, that might be different. But that will empower the teachers to be seen as experts, the teachers to be heard, to be understood, and to be allowed to make mistakes. I've noticed it's a little bit different in United Kingdom to Poland. With the mistake making, we very often are ashamed of making mistakes. Mistakes are bad. But if we're gonna install this in our teachers gonna pass it on to our students. And what we really want our students to know, that mistakes are part of life, and as soon as you take a lesson, reflect and make it better. This is part of learning and wisdom creation. So we need to give a space to teachers to also create a research project, create a new lesson plan, reflect, how did it work today? What was good about this? What could be different? What could be better? And recreate it in another way. That will create a better feel, better well-being, and possibly create an environment when passion from the teacher to student can be ignited. I understand that in India, the classes can be bigger than standard classes in Europe, maybe. We just recently were talking to one teacher from India here in Poland, and she said that she had about 45 students in the classroom in her class in India. We don't have this here. We've got about 24 students. So obviously, the way how we create our lesson may differ from the way how it is created in India. But giving teachers space to create allows them to be more passionate about the subject. Having the value of belonging, seeing the student, but also allowing the teacher to be seen. This is really, really important, because even from the business perspective, I don't know if you are familiar with Richard Branson. Richard Branson is the owner of Virgin Company. They've got Virgin Media. This is multi-billion company. Richard Branson's idea is that when he will look after his employees and his employees will be happy, the employees will look after the customers because they will be happy to do so. Education, of course, we are much deeper, much broader, and we've got very, very unique opportunity to engage with young people and create the future leaders, create the future businessmen, create the future writers, politicians, but also create the future shop assistants, create the future cleaners, create the future bakers, designers, whomever they might be. We are creating those future generation. But how can we do it if we need to follow a script? How can we do it if we don't have a culture of belonging? If we don't feel as educators that we belong? If we are not allowed to be seen, heard, and understood? So embracing compassionate leadership. And this is to all leaders who might be part of this talk here. The compassionate leadership is made of compassion, connectivity, and communication. The way how we communicate with our teachers. Do we communicate with them in the way that they feel belonging? Do we allow them to make mistakes and learn and reflect? Because the real difference between humans is how do we respond to the mistakes and problems in life? We all have issues, we all have problems. I was just standing yesterday by the river, and there were little petals on the river flowing. And there were little swells on the river. And some of the petals were flowing into the swells and were struggling, and some of them were redirected back. Some of them were flowing very effortlessly forward. This is how our life is. We're all going to make mistakes. We all may hit the swell. Some of them of us might be redirected, but how we respond to that moment is the difference. If you're going to have a teacher who will make mistake and will say, "Sir, I made this mistake, but now I know that I need to do it different way because students will get better knowledge. Students will receive better results because students will engage at better level. If I will do it this way, because that way wasn't working," that's when you've got a real gem. But that needs to be a continuous process from lesson to lesson, from little sequence of lessons to another sequence of lessons. We cannot wait to the end and say, "Oh, now I made a mistake, the whole year was ruined." Obviously, we cannot wait that long. From little sequence to little sequence, observing the engagement, observing the results, observing how do we feel and how the environment in the classroom is. How many students are talking about the subject during break? How many students are talking to their parents after lesson, to their friends? How good are we at igniting passion? As a leader, there is this balcony metaphor that we should stand on the balcony and observe what's happening. Go to the dance floor and engage with everyone who is part of our community. Then go back on the balcony and observe the change. And then redirect ourselves there again. Only with this dance of the dance floor and balcony, in leadership and teaching, we're gonna be able to ignite what we want to ignite in our students. The passion to learning, the passion to know more and be better and create the best version of themselves, whoever they meant to be. We all know that everyone we meet is following their own path, and they will follow their own path. Not everyone will be engineer, because we need bakers, we need people working in the shop, we need people who are going to be doing wellness sessions, we need people who are going to be educators, we need people who are going to create some innovations, design our homes. So all of those people need to be appreciated and seen. And what is our role in this education and feeling the sense of belonging, that this is where we should be, that this is where our path is bringing us. And we want to share the passion, and we want to share the knowledge, and we want to ignite the passion in our students. And as a leaders, we want our teachers to be the best version of ourselves. We want us to feel that we are following our path. And the community is growing in the best possible way in our own local context. And people have opportunities to go around and doing whatever they meant to do. So this is mostly what, in this very short talk I've got. I would love to go in and talk to you about loads of different topics here in more detail, because those topics are very deep and very wide. But having 30 minutes slot here and presenting a topic with the best passion I've got at heart, when I feel that I'm listened and understood and heard and appreciated, I would like to pass it on to you. And thank you for being here, because that's what makes our community beautiful. Sharing our experiences, sharing our thoughts, and sharing the passion. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for the wonderful explanation on the topic student engagement with activist. Now it's a time for discussion. Now I request all dear participants, if you would like to share something or any query, please come ahead, dear participants.
Very good afternoon, Dr. Izabela. I am Dr. Ahmed from Hyderabad, India. It was a very interesting and very meaningful lecture from your side. That the engagement of the students, it is an art. It is not like a profession, but it is an art, because all cannot engage. Engaging is different from teaching, what I presume. You can teach for hours, 2 hours, 3 hours, but engaging the students and with the twisting was about you use the word twist, it's very significant, and one has to have that much of guts to engage the students. As rightly mentioned by you, that in Poland you have a 24 to 30 students in a class, unlike in India we have minimum class strength is 60 and above 60, not 45. So it is becoming more of a challenging task for the teacher to engage the classroom. And engaging classroom, teacher should have the knowledge other than the subject knowledge. Otherwise, he will be helpless. And more so, you also mentioned that he should have the quality of leadership. He should have the quality to have the motivation. He should have the quality of direction. Everything. He has to be tasking person only can engage the students, because they are more more brilliant than the teacher nowadays. Now students of these days. So my question is that what are the minimum qualities should a teacher possess to engage the students?
Sorry, what is the minimum of what?
Minimum, of what you call talent one teacher should have to engage the class, not taking the class subject class, only engaging the class.
Yeah. So when we look at what's the minimum talent, when we look at the teacher, every teacher will be very different in the way how they are. Like all our students will be very different. I understand that this is really difficult in the big classroom, and engaging everyone would be very different. But what I'm looking here for is that when you are allowed to be yourself, when you are allowed to create the lesson in the way that you at your heart believe that will pass on the passion you've got for the subject, because we all are coming in because we are passionate about those subjects. We studied this subject at the degree level for the reason that we love that subject. So let's be honest. We need to give a teacher a chance to give this passion forward. Very often we limit this, that when I've got 60 students, I cannot show my passion. I cannot be this passionate Izabela about business. I do teach business studies. But when you are allowed to make mistakes, when you are allowed to check different things, when you are allowed to talk to students in different way and observe and learn from it and reflect, this is when you can really make a difference.
You mean to say you need to allow the two-way communication instead of one way. Engagement will become more easy if you allow the two-way communication.
Yes, of course. Of course, if you are allowed to have two-way communication, sometimes the two-way communication can be very simple as thumbs up, thumbs down, or middle and down. Do you understand that everyone needs to put their hands up, middle, or down? There is a lot of different ways to make sure that students are still with you without having an open discussion, which can be difficult with 60 students, as you mentioned. So they can be creative ideas. How do I know that students are still with me without having everyone answer the question, because that might be very difficult? So maybe randomizing the names who gonna answer the question at the time can always keep them on the edge. I know also, as much as we would say you have 60 students is more difficult, but most of the times you've got 60 students who are very committed to learning. In our reality, we may have only 24, but some of them might not be that committed, and our problem or challenge will be a little bit different here. How do we make sure that those students are loving what they are doing? Your students very often are committed, very often are conforming, very often are very respectful. From what I know about India, my knowledge is limited, so I'm sorry if I'm saying something what is not necessarily true.
No, there are some students who are not maybe participative in nature, but as a teacher, he should be also a motivator, making everybody to participate, motivate them to talk, because there are some shy persons who cannot really talk, who hesitate to talk. So if you can allow everybody to involve, I think your class will be in a great deal of enthusiastically it can be engaged. What I presume.
Of course, also what I think works for me, and I think this is the key for this engagement. I stand at the door when my students walk in, and I say, "Good morning. How are you today? It's nice to see you." I don't have time to have long conversation, but acknowledging everyone at the door creates the culture of care. When I say good morning and they walk into the classroom, they already feel seen.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I've got someone with hand up here. Sorry.
Dr. Shukla, sir, please.
Good evening, Dr. Bedkar, sir, Principal, sir. Good evening, ma'am. Wonderful presentation. I think it's 4 o'clock at your place. Wonderful presentation you have made, and really a teacher and student relationship when we are talking about. Yeah, definitely the role of teacher is to engage the the students in a real sense. And I think, when most of the time nowadays we are getting informations and many informations, but the understanding and the perception and the that internal feeling about that subject is not there. That is how it becomes little superficial learning, to just clear their semesters and exams. That's it, only for evaluation purpose they are doing it. But what I feel, the student should learn with their own intention, with interest, with proactiveness. And I think, these should be the virtues with the student. And plus to that, what I feel, the students are, they are the mind of a James. And we have to tap out, we have to find out those gems within them. So it is, I think, a role of a teacher. I belong to medical college, and I'm teaching, I'm a professor over there. So I think a number of students are having a good number of virtues and number of, facets which we never explore. And many of the times, we assume that this student is like this, Mr. XYZ is like this, and we are having our own prejudices. And so I think, we should reach to every student by some kind of activities. And that is how, we should make him that he's a very responsible, respectable student of my class. And that is how I think, I can make the person in my classroom. No doubt. So I think really the student engagement is very important. No doubt the cognitive engagement is there, the affective engagement is there. But what I feel, there more than this, I think there should be behavioral engagement and social engagement. And that is how they develop a social responsibility, a sense of social responsibility within themselves. And they become a part of a responsible citizen of the country. And I think they can contribute much better way. Nowadays, the education system is becoming a little professional and commercial. I delivered my lecture, they listened my lecture, they went home. So the real meaning, the teaching, learning is not taking place. But I think apart from teaching, learning, there should be some understanding of the subject, the depth of the subject. And, we should think further, what we can think apart from text and apart from what teacher is saying. So that innovative and new novel thoughts are not coming from the students. So I think that kind of a culture, if we can cultivate, I think we'll become a true sense leader. And leader doesn't mean, who pushes the people for something. At some private coaching classes I had seen, they are behind students like anything to get, good score. And, the people are going in a lot of psychological stress and anxieties, and even they are committing suicide. So this is the scenario. So instead of that, I think, we have to arouse that interest. We have to tap that interest among the student. And that is how we can become a true sense leader. Thank you, madam. Wonderful presentation. What do you think about these comments? Thank you.
Thank you. I think this is a great comment, and thank you very much. I'm overwhelmed by the positive feedback from all of you here. Thank you so much. I do agree. I do agree that encouraging students to go further is so important. And thinking about what made me like this subject and going back and kind of having this reflection, how did I get here? Because we all came to this point when we are having this high level of knowledge in this particular area we teach. But how did we get here? When we were 14, 15, 16, 17, maybe 10, depending on what age group you teach. How did I feel then? What did I need? And what was given to me that it made me the person I am today? And that is a true true art of education. That is a true art of being human, because at the end of the day, we are leaders for humanity, because we are leading the young people into the future, and we are holding their hand, either literally or not. In British education, you cannot touch the students, so we don't hold their hands, but we do hold their hands in different realm and take them to another step. So looking at what you've said, looking after student mental well-being is so important. We don't know the stories behind the closed doors. We don't know the stories in their head. We do have suicides. We do have attempts of suicide. We do have really, really distressing notices from our students, which is really, really sad. Having the compassion, because we don't know the full story. Very often, student is coming and going and being just quiet and conforming, but we don't know what's going on. So without judgment, just giving them opportunity to be in this classroom and to try their best. And maybe sometimes ask them like, hey, how are you? Like if I see in my classroom, student is not writing, okay? Everyone is writing. There is one student not writing. I could say, you should be writing. What are you doing here? That's example from a couple of weeks ago. I asked my student, I was like, hey, is your hand hurting? He looked at me all strangely and he said, no, my hand is not hurting, miss. I said, so why are you not writing, darling? You should be writing. I said, no, sorry, miss. And he started writing. But I got from him what I wanted without creating and aggravating him. I could say, stop writing, and he would be like, no, I don't want to be writing. But I asked him, are you okay? Is your hand hurting? And then he felt seen, heard, and understood. I gave him the opportunity to feel belonging in my classroom. Some small little steps, they're tiny steps. They're tiny steps. Someone is laying on the desk. You may tell them, sit up. Or you may say, do you need a sip of water? And they will be like, no, I'm all right. Okay, so sit up, darling. Thank you very much. And that's all. That's how we create this compassionate environment. Maybe someone will come to you after lesson and say, oh, sir or miss, I haven't been well today. It's not going well. And maybe you're going to be the one who's going to save them from having those suicidal attempts. And you're going to be this person who's going to be able to hear their story. And that might be enough. So we've got this unique opportunity, but also unique responsibility to be those people who unlock rather than close off. Okay, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Wonderful explanation and expression you had given. And I think we had to create a human being, not the professionals. And yes, definitely this caring attitude and, motivating them at every step life, every stage of life is a wonderful job of a teacher. And we are very fortunate. We are in such a kind of profession. And yes, definitely, we are having this opportunity, and we, who knows, who one of the student may become someone great and, recognize you at the end. So I think that will be a real award for us. Thank you very much.
Thank you. There is another hand up. I don't know.
Devidas Kendre, sir. Please ask in short.
Oh, good evening to all. Thank you, Principal Dr. M.M. Bedkar, sir. Thank you, Prashant ji. Thank you, Prakash ji. It is a very nice presentation. Thank you so much, ma'am. I have one question, ma'am. What are the concept of student engagement? What are the concept of student engagement? and give me one, explain me some example.
If I understood correctly, that was question about example of student engagement. So an example of student engagement might be that we are learning about business, creating business idea. And a student is going home and coming back and saying, Miss, I found out about this new business idea which is just being launched to the shops, or it just came out. That's how I will judge that the student has real passion and I made an impact. That the students not only did the homework, because homework is also conforming. Homework is also part of responsibility which they are fulfilling. They may answer it very well, and that might be part of engagement, and they may find out some new information, and maybe in homework they wrote something extra, and you see that they were deeply involved in this topic. Not only answered, okay, minimal answer, answered all the question, gave you the paper, but when you see that they've done something extra, when you see that they are really interested in this topic, that they've created some great homework, that they've shared some great idea, that they brought something at break and discuss with their friends. Maybe, I don't know if you've got after school clubs, maybe they discuss something at the club, maybe they open the club. We had students opening an enterprise clubs and asking to have permission to create business ideas. So this is when we see the passion. This is when we see, like, you teach science and then you suddenly have a student who wants to be a scientist. That's where the deep passion comes for. They might not become scientists also, but they are really interested in the topic you are sharing, because not everyone gonna share this deep passion in every single subject. We know that everyone will concentrate on their own path, but having this deeper interest is what we really want students to have. We are like a lighthouse. We are showing them where they can look and how they can see what we chosen to be the passion of our life.
Wonderful explanation, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Principal Dr. M. Bedkar, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Badiuddin, sir. Honorable Dr. Swanand Shukla, sir, as well as Devdas Kendre, sir, for your queries and also sharing some views, some examples in front of the participants. So thanks a lot to you. Now I request the chief organizer of an international conference, the ideal principal of Sri Kumar Swami Mahavidyalaya Ausa, District Latur, Honorable Dr. M. Bedkar, sir, to conclude the session. You are welcome.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. M. Betkar, sir, Honorable Principal, sir. Now it's a time for vote of thanks. Sri Kumar Swami Mahavidyalaya Ausa, District Latur in Maharashtra State. We all dear participants knows that our college is running this world record series too, as well as an internationally conference. There's a daily webinar series. And the topic for today's presentation in an international conference was students' engagement with activists. Now the topic have presented in an excellent way today's keynote speaker, Honorable Izabela Ryzak ma'am. She was from Poland, where madam have cleared all the points regarding the topic, the concept of the students' engagements, some of the creative ways to engage the students, as well as students' engagement strategies, and all those details. I mean, there is no need to revise all the points which madam have explained and clarified in a simple language. The way she have explained it was very excellent one. So we are very happy, and we were feeling that just we are going to listen more and more time from your side. So very, very thankful to you, madam, for being with us. You accepted our invitations and joined the series and delivered a nice lecture within us. Thanks a lot once again to you. Now I thank the chief organizer of an international conference, Honorable Dr. M. Betkar, sir. I also thanks my friend Dr. Karar, sir, who introduced today's keynote speaker. And I should not forget these three personalities, Dr. Badiuddin, sir, Shukla, sir, Devidas Kendre, sir, who always joins and shares some views, also ask nice questions every day. So thanks a lot to you also. And at last, all dear participants, very, very thankful to you also from the bottom of heart. You people are joining here. So we are moving this series ahead. So thanks a lot to you all. Now, everyone, thank you, my dear friend Sonu Kumar sir. And I request you all, please fill the feedback link which is given in the chat box. So with the kind permission of chief organizer, I declare today's session is over. Once again, thank you, Izabela madam. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the invite, and thank you for being so nice. Everyone has been so positive, and all the feedback has been really, really positive. I appreciate it all. Thank you very much for the opportunity to be here.
Thank you, madam. Bye bye. Take care. You can leave the session.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Yes, ma'am. Yes. Thank you, Surya Vyas sir.
धन्यवाद सर.